All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're taking Joseph Campbell's incredible mythological teachings and translating them into, real accessible wisdom for your everyday life. If you're a Campbell fan, you already know he spent his entire life hunting down the common threads across world myths and religions. But what does all that actually mean for us right now? Well, we're going to look at his reflections on the art of living. Specifically, we'll see how you can frame your own life as an epic adventure and how to handle those inevitable, messy transitions.
So we have to start by addressing a really uncomfortable feeling. Is your life drying up? It's a brutal question, but a necessary one. Think about it. Think about the times you've just followed someone else's rules, maybe dealt with massive corporate burnout, or just checked the boxes because society told you to. When we do that, life literally loses its juice. Campbell calls this drifting into sleepy land. It's exactly what happens when your internal call to adventure rings and you just send it to voicemail because staying put feels safer. But here's the thing. That safety has a massive cost. It leads to this profound, lingering sense of your life force just drying up.
And this is where Campbell takes an ancient, terrifying concept and totally redefines it. Hell. He doesn't see hell as some underground cave of physical fire and brimstone. No, he describes it as a psychological state where life is drying up. It's a place where you're just stuck, totally bound to your own ego and your own fears. And the real tragedy of this version of hell, the fire doesn't even consume you. You don't burn up, you just sit there, stagnating. It's literally the ultimate modern trap of complacency.
All right, Section 1, the call to adventure.
To break out of sleepy land, you're faced with the ultimate choice. On one hand, you've got following your bliss. Campbell describes this as entering the dark forest at the absolute darkest point, where there is no path whatsoever. And yeah, that is deeply intimidating. But look at the alternative, stagnation. That's choosing the safe paved path. But here's the absolute crucial insight. If there's already a path, it belongs to someone else. If you're walking someone else's trail, you are never going to realize your own potential. To live a heroic life, you actually have to step off the trail and head straight into the unknown.
Moving on to Section 2, shedding your old skin.
When your current life feels stagnant, how do you handle that transition? Well, holding on to your old identity actually causes you to decay. First, Campbell says you have to let go of the old form to avoid what he vividly calls putrefaction. I know, gross, right? But if we fixate on the past, we literally rot in place. Second, this shedding process is delicate. You peel the old skin away gradually, like taking off a bandage without ripping out the hair. For a modern application, think of this as gracefully transitioning out of a toxic job or slowly unwiring a bad habit, rather than impulsively burning your entire life to the ground on a Tuesday. And finally, you have to accept that destruction always precedes creation. You literally have to get rid of the life you planned just to make room for the life that's actually waiting for you.
Which brings us to another word Campbell totally flips upside down: apocalypse. Actually, scratch the Hollywood disaster movie image of a fiery Armageddon. Instead, realize that this internal apocalypse is just a necessary clearing out. It's simply our own ignorance and our own complacency coming to an end. So, when your old world feels like it's falling apart, it's not a punishment. It's just a cleanup job to make room for that newly shed skin. Everything that comes, goes.
Now, looking at a Shinto fire ritual like this one, we see the exact opposite of those stagnant fires of hell we talked about earlier. These are the fires of transformation. Campbell points out something amazing here. If you can find a place of active joy, that joy will actually burn out the pain of your transition. These transformative fires let you release your old skin and step out completely renewed, participating joyously in the messy experience of life.
Okay, Section 3, embracing the comedic Vita.
Campbell drops some incredibly practical and honestly hilarious wisdom here. As you proceed through life, following your own path, birds will shit on you. Don't bother to brush it off. I absolutely love that. Using a comedic view like this grants you the spiritual distance you need to maintain your sanity during a really tough transition. When you can just laugh at the total absurdity of your situation, you stop taking the pain so righteously. A sense of humor is literally a game changer that saves you from being crushed under the weight of your own journey.
That brings us to Section 4, finding your still point.
So, ask yourself right now, where are you between two thoughts? Seriously, think about it. We're thinking all the time, completely caught up in anxieties, desires, and how we look to other people. But right there, in the gap between those thoughts, is a source field that is totally beyond your immediate worries. It's this quiet center where all your obligations just drop away. If you need a simple tip for maintaining composure during life's most intense moments, try taking a literal pause. Just one deep breath before you fire off a reply to that angry email.
That single breath is the still point. Your anxieties momentarily drop away, and your response becomes masterfully.
Because the goal isn't to run away and hide in a cave. It's like Dionysus riding the leopard, maintaining godlike composure. You don't hide from the wild, chaotic energy of life. You ride the full rush of it, using that still point you found inside yourself to keep your balance so you don't get torn to pieces.
And finally, Section 5, Magic in the Mundane.
So how on earth do we integrate all this epic, mythic bliss into managing daily challenges? Like, what about a Monday, Tuesday? First, make a ritual out of taking out the garbage. Campbell notes that work only begins when you don't like what you're doing, so the trick to finding personal meaning is turning your responsibilities into a form of play. Second, accept that the world is a mess and we can't cure it, but we can participate joyfully in its sorrows. And lastly, find compassion. That happens when you recognize the identity of I and thou, seeing yourself in others. It's not just about slaying dragons out there. It's about making your everyday household chores a beautiful, shared ritual of life.
Notice Campbell's own words here, capturing this core philosophy. The world is perfect. It's a mess. It has always been a mess. Our job is to straighten out our own lives. We really shouldn't be sitting around waiting for some external force to fix society before we decide to fix ourselves. True adventure starts the moment you take responsibility for your own inner alignment.
I want to leave you with this final thought. It's advice that was given to a young Native American at the time of his initiation. As you go the way of life, you will see a great chasm. Jump. It is not as wide as you think. So as you look at your own life, maybe those stagnant paths you're on, and you hear that dark force calling to you, are you ready to jump?